Hey guys, I'm Liam Norval and this is Posh Cockney TV and this is our brand new show, London After Lockdown. I'm going to take you on a tour around London to meet some of the biggest names in the hospitality industry, and they're going to tell us how they've adapted since lockdown's been lifted. On this episode, I meet John James, who's the Managing Director of Soho Estates. I catch up with Addy at Soho Residence, and then I speak to James Rix, who's the owner of Crowdify Global. So I've come to Soho to meet the man himself, John James, at Soho Estates. So most of you know about the Soho Festival. It's been a huge success since it started, and I'm keen to find out what his thoughts are and what's next for Soho Estates. Let's go check it out. John James, thank you so much for coming on Posh Cockney TV.
Thank you for inviting me, it's a pleasure.
How have you been?
Very well, considering like everybody else, I've been, just human interaction has been missing in one's life. We are not designed to be locked up in cells, however luxurious or padded, small or large they are. People need to interact with each other.
Of course.
Part and parcel of this hospitality that we see in Soho. And so I'm fortunate because I live in the country, so this is the first time I've been into the city for 12 weeks.
We had you on the podcast earlier on this year, and we were talking about the Soho Festival, and it hadn't happened at that point. We're now in the middle of it. How has that been so far?
Well, I think it's been a great success, and a lot of people did an awful lot of work to make this happen. And if you start with an idea, and you start with, not everybody was on side with that idea, but the idea would and only was to kickstart the economy in this area. Mm-hmm. And the economy in this area is largely hospitality, and it involves gathering of people. The very thing pre the relaxation that was difficult, 2 meter rules, all the things that sort of made it difficult to be sociable was what we had to contend with. So you thought about what you could do here, and you thought that all these very small restaurants in Soho, which are the heartblood of Soho, the DNA of Soho, that if they failed, they'd be a really long time before they were replaced. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't get them back overnight. I estimated it to be 18 months to 3 years before somebody came and took those places again, because it requires finance, it requires hope money, it requires somebody putting the effort in to want to do it. So we looked at what this was, wanting this thing to just be a kickstart for an economy, because there's a concentration of restaurants here. I mean, that was the nub of it. Yeah. And the first thing you could do to make that happen was, for us as a company, was write to all our tenants who are in these streets and say, look, we think this is a really good idea, and we can negotiate, or we can liaise, because it was not so much a negotiation, but we can liaise with the right at the top level of Westminster City Council, right to the leader, Rachel, and the cabinet, and say, this is a good idea, we think we should support this, and if you chaps, girls and boys, get on side with this, then we might have a chance to come out of this terrible situation earlier than others.
I have to ask you about Super Saturday. So it had a little bit of bad press because it was so busy, but we were just speaking off camera. Yeah. That was going to happen, wasn't it, on that first night?
I think the pent-up desire for social interaction, go out, party, have a good time, it wasn't just Soho, right? It was throughout England, right? Let's just analyse what that is. You think this has got to happen on day one. But one of the real reasons it happened is that what we asked for in these streets was a closed street, a controlled environment, and tables and chairs in the middle of the street. And what was forced upon us was a situation or a suggestion, more of an arm twist, I thought myself. You've got to allow a fire engine down these streets, right? An ambulance, and that's where they have to be buried. Mm-hmm. So you have to have this wide bit in the middle of the street. Yeah. Our first vision is tables down the middle of the street, and you take them in and out. And when asked about what about emergency access, you say, look, people can see the streets are not big, 4 streets, right? Mm-hmm. You move them, yep. People will react. I don't think that's going to be life or death. But I thought it was a device to make it difficult, right? And this is what amused me a little, because that first night they've got the whole street to stand in, right? Because that's where the fire engine's supposed to go. So all these people, and you know they were going to be out there, right? Because they've been locked up for 12 weeks, and they want to party, and they want to meet their friends, and they just want to do that thing. But what was really important was how it went on next, and the operators and all the people here. So when I was talking to Westminster, I'm saying, look, you know, apart from the fact it's on BBC TV, it's on every national news, so that's not bad. So we've kicked off that something's going on in Soho, so that's good. But I get the point. We don't want this to happen in Soho, but that's not what we asked for. We asked for this organised event, and we had to water it down due to various other interests, shall we call them, right? And so you watered it down. Now, what's obvious to everybody is if you put those tables back in that street, then these people won't be there to stand and drink. And all the operators who have got a license to protect, and very, very, very seriously, that's their life, that's their living. If they ain't got a license, they can't trade. They're all very, very willing to maintain this organised event, right? And there was a bit of fuss about calling it an event, when really you're just trying to save people's businesses, right? And I was asked not to call it a festival because it seemed too organised. But in truth, Liam, what we got was the very thing we should have got in the beginning, only a week later. So it wasn't disastrous. In fact, it was brilliant. If anything was going to make the thing work, because the councillors were willing to change, the councillors were willing to adapt, their officers were told to do it, which is a big thing when you're trying to deal with the bureaucracy of politicians and the way they work. If somebody says, somebody on high says to somebody, make this happen, then you get a very reasonable response from people, and they want to make it help. They want to help you, and that's what happened. So basically, the street then suddenly turns into what we see now today, and we're in 3 weeks now, I think, and the operators are all have come together as a kind of a community. These people didn't know each other before, particularly. They're now fighting for a common cause, common purpose. Livelihoods are at stake. The entire investment of their lives at stake. So they're now all agreeing if they don't do it right, they'll get the rights removed. So they're going to do it right, and they're going to make it attractive to come here, which we've seen on subsequent weekend nights. And of course now we're like we sit here today. It's a Monday. It's not a busy day, but there are more people in that street than anywhere else in the city centre, and we're at the peril of the English summer. So it's miserable and damp down there, and there's still plenty of people about. But you know, I look at the weather forecasting, and we need sun to get this thing, to get these people to enjoy the outside al fresco thing. You need a bit of weather,
of course.
So, but I'm very pleased with it. I'm very pleased. We got 6,500 people signed that when we were talking about what my website to support this. 6,500 people signed this would be a good idea, and then as it's moved on, and the more and more operators. I started with like 30 operators. Now there's 74 operators on our list of. Look at this, and I kind of drop out of that because really it's up to the operators to operate, not me.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's worked really well, and I just pray that we've got good weather for the next 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe a month or so. September we've got potentially good weather to September, haven't we? Really, end of September.
That'll make a big difference for sure.
Yeah.
And how have your tenants, have they said it's been a huge success for them? I mean, we all know they're not operating at full trade.
Well, there's the feedback I'm getting is it's better than not opening, number one. Number two, we as a company we started talking to our tenants right from the off, in March. Right? March quarter was not paid. Now, if you're in the landlord business, March quarter, people normally pay their rent, and this lockdown was 6 days before March quarter. So March quarter was not paid. March quarter was withheld because it was all ready to be paid. Yeah. But in the lockdown happened 6 days later, the quarter day comes, that money is withheld. Now that's an important distinction, right? Then June quarter comes along. Well, of course you're not going to get paid in June because nobody's traded. Of course. They're living on their savings. They're living on whatever they can because no trade is going on. So that you shouldn't expect much in June. And then you think, now what's the strategy here? Get these people from June to September to December, and hopefully this thing works its way out. You know, we're not in a zombie apocalypse here, right? This thing will stop.
Yeah.
I just thought to myself, if we can get these people to trade through to December at least, and then to start talking about how we recover our rent, or some of it, all of it, and in some cases none of it, right? In starting next year going forward. And then the persons that are here right now have got a chance, and the chance mainly is if we've reduced the rent or forgo the rent or deferred the rent, you're trading without paying rent.
Yeah.
So 50% is still not paying rent. You're trading without paying rates because the Westminster Council has absolved rates for all hospitality businesses, and you now got a bit of a break on the VAT. And up until now, you furloughed your staff. So
and eat out to help out as well.
And the eat out to help out, which I'm not sure how far you get with 10 quid down there, by the way.
Well, I mean, we're talking about what helps. Yeah.
Everything. So the man's got a chance now. Now, I'm not saying that chance is I should have some of that chance. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that gets you going, gets you up and running. That gets you to save your business so that it can thrive and grow in the next 2 or 3 years, because London will come back. Soho's reinvented itself since it was born in 1666. It reinvents itself. It's one thing, then it's another, then it's another. This is just a blip in Soho's life, right? Now, I don't want this blip to be killing people off. I'd like people to survive this blip, and that's kind of what we concentrated on. And this is a good break for them. The ones who were reluctant to open have now all joined in.
Right.
And I understood why they were reluctant to open, because one of them said to me, "John, I haven't got the money to subsidise the losses I will incur while business is trying to come back." I said, "I understand that. You'll run out of loot." Yeah. As soon as you open the door, the bills come. Right. So this method we've tried to do here is to gain some impetus, gain some excitement, get those people out here, and the pent up desire was shown on that mad Saturday, and we've managed to contain it into a workable and safe environment as this thing continues.
I wanted to say that it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Posh Cockney TV.
I thank you.
It's actually the first time we've met, but hopefully we'll be able to maybe pop down Soho House or Old Compton Street.
I think this is part of this human thing we were talking about. Yeah. I've talked to so many people trying to promote this damn thing who I've never met.
Yeah.
And I mean, suddenly when you can meet people and you can have a drink and you can just have a hail fellow when well met kind of conversation, when you're not just talking to the cat, right? This is what human beings want.
Well done on everything. Well done on the Soho Festival. It's been excellent to see it in action, and I wish you all the best. And thank you very much for coming on.
I thank you.
Cheers. As I'm in Soho, I decided to catch up with an old friend, Addy, who was the general manager at Café de Paris for many years at the Soho Residence. Addy, thank you so much for the cocktail.
No worries, no worries. Welcome.
How have you been?
Good, not bad.
I just heard you've got a promotion. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just under a year basically, and good opportunity. So,
I've heard this place has been really, really busy during the Soho Festival.
It's getting there. Yeah, after the lockdown, yes, we can't complain. We're not to the standards, but yeah, we're getting there. So, which is good.
We worked together for many years at Café de Paris. Do you miss Café at all?
I do miss the people around I work with, but yeah, I do miss sometimes. Yeah.
What measures have you got in place for safety for guests at the moment?
Basically, we take the temperatures, track and trace, name and telephone number, and then signs everywhere. So and then keep a meter plus distance with each other. And, simple.
And have you found it really busy?
It is busy. It's very complicated, very challenging. But apart from that, it's getting busy and good. The customer is getting used to now keeping a meter plus distance as well. When they have a few drinks, they'll be merry, said, "Oh, keep forgetting." But just remind them, no dancing, no live music, no DJ, just normal.
Do you like working in the centre of Soho?
Of course, it's beautiful. I used to party here.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it's really, really busy out there today.
It is, yeah. The Mondays here is getting like Thursday night in here, to be honest. So it's quite good, busy. I'm happy.
Amazing, it's great to see you happy.
Yeah, so it's good.
What's next for the group here? Is there expansion?
There are, yeah, we're looking a few venues as well, which is a good now because it's cheaper to buy, but then rather not say which ones, but yeah, we are.
Fantastic. Well, it's great to see you doing so well. Thank you so much for the cocktail. I've had a long day's filming, so I'm going to tuck into that, and I will pop in with the team again soon.
It's very, very famous in Soho, Porn Star Martini, can't get any wrong.
Well, go away, I'm going to drink it.
Cool.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Time to head back to Covent Garden to the Posh Cockney HQ and speak to James Rix, the owner of Crowdify Global.
James, thank you so much for coming on Posh Cockney TV.
My pleasure, mate.
How
Always.
have you been?
Yeah, not bad actually, not bad. Busy is probably the best word for it, to be honest with you.
We've spoken a few times, and
Yeah,
it sounds like you're crazy.
Yeah, it's been, we've got a portfolio of businesses and I think we've probably got one in every sort of situation you could possibly be in, but our digital agency is just gone crazy, so we're real lucky in some senses compared to others.
Remind me of the services you guys do at Crowdify.
So Crowdify really is a group of events marketing agencies. As you know, my background is events and clubs and all that sort of stuff. And then we started investing in other businesses about 3 years ago after we formed Street PR, turned that into a multi-million-pound business. And then we started investing in digital agencies, social media agencies, SEO, AdWords. And that's our sort of core focus at this point, because that's where everything has gone. The demand for this sort of delivery services and, alternatives to even supermarkets, vegetable companies, online training videos, all this kind of stuff has just exploded, and we've been right in the center of it as well as working with the NHS, so it's been crazy.
I had you on the podcast when lockdown actually started, and you only just got the NHS contract.
That's correct, yeah.
Tell me a bit more about how that...
So we started working with the NHS for the first time probably about 8 or 9 years ago, doing a lot of quit smoking stuff. Went really well. And then as we acquired the digital agency, we started looking at digital partnerships. They were very short to begin with. Built up a great relationship with them, and we've been taking care now of the mental health awareness campaign on behalf of NHS England for about 12 months at this point. We're actually looking now, and we were just at that point signing another extension on our contract, and we're actually looking now to move into a position where we sign a 12 to 24 month agreement because the work's gone so well. They've got a lot of faith in us now, and they're like, yeah, you guys take care of that. So as all these things come down to money, right? So Ferg's dealing with it.
How is Fergus Harrington?
He's very good,
Who's
mate.
Your partner, if people don't know who he is.
Yeah, he's very good. He's very busy. I'd say he's probably got, I'm doing the fun bit at the moment, winning clients, doing business, doing the sort of marketing strategy for clients and all the bit that I love.
Showbiz.
Yeah, all the showbiz, like you. Yeah, okay. I'm the dancing monkey. And he's very much, in the finances, bounce backs, C-bills, whatever we're doing in each division of the business and sorting all that stuff out. And
the most important part.
The most important part at this point.
Room.
Yeah, the engine room, right? Yeah. Whereas I'm just like the flag on the top, jumping around.
So a big part of your business is events.
Yeah.
2020 events.
Yeah, massively so, right?
Yeah.
Really interesting for me because we work with people like, Wembley and Tottenham and the Supercar Rally like Mod Ball, right the way down to, our own clubbing business, the biggest student events promoter in the UK, and it's all shut. We've gone from doing 5,000 customers a week in clubs in London to doing 0 like overnight. And we really thought by September we'd be back. That's the truth.
For freshers.
For freshers, right?
Yeah.
We thought we'd be back, we'd be up and kicking. And it's not just the event revenue, but it's the sponsorship revenue, it's the acquisition marketing revenue that comes from that. So as a business, we're taking an enormous hit if by not being here in September. But people are saying, well, students are coming back. Universities are talking to us about doing alternative type of events. They want us to run some sort of welcome and integration party for the freshers because it's quite intimidating to come from Leeds or Leicester or wherever you're coming from and not know anyone in London. And now you're going to be stuck in your room and told to socially distance. How are you going to make friends? So we're coming up with ways. If you're out there and you've got an idea, an event that we want to run with us where we can integrate students in a socially responsible manner, socially distance them, we'd love to hear from you. So that is, of course, unless the government change the rules between now and September and we're back in Ministry of Sound or Fabric or XOYO and things carry on, So
what else have you learned during this period?
I think for me, it's been a really interesting time because you certainly get to reflect on size of business, overheads, what's important, what's not important. You certainly see the true colours of everyone involved, I think. And I will say that everyone, for the most part, has been extremely supportive. Everyone's there to help everyone else out. And there's this huge camaraderie, especially in the hospitality and the events business, of us all working together and us going, oh, we'll do that for you, we'll sort it out down the line. There's a lot of that sort of kind of vibe going on, and an eagerness to get back to business. And I think there is, sadly, a noticeable number of good operators who won't survive should we be closed until January, or they come out the other side of it and they're going to be in a huge amount of debt. They don't all have that luxury of alternative revenue streams like we have as an agency,
So it always baffles me, people like you that have got their fingers in many, many pies. How do you juggle your time?
I think it's team.
Yeah.
I think you've got to have an awesome team, and you've got to be in a position where you trust that team. And, I'm quite dyslexic. Anyone who deals with me on a regular basis probably tells me I'm a bit frustrating at times, replying to WhatsApp messages, or I send you a message that doesn't make any sense at all, So, I'm dyslexic. And I think so as a youngster, I grew up having to trust people and delegate out quite a lot. And then as a result, in my business years, I'm very used to going, yeah, you know what, you're very talented. I trust you to get on with that. Get on with it. And I think that's the sort of key to my success, is I work with projects I'm passionate about. I do a lot of stuff that I love doing with people that I like doing. That's really important for me in business. And then I've got an amazing team, and I know how to plug them in. I know what the sort of venue owner or restaurant owner or brand owner wants to see. And I sort of communicate between the two and just keep the project building and building. And ultimately, it's about getting results. We are absolutely results driven when it comes to digital stuff. There's no hiding, because the figures are right there in front of you. So, yeah.
Would you and Ferg ever buy your own venue?
Yeah, I mean, it's been something that we've talked about over the years. We did try to buy Los Locos in Covent Garden a few years ago, but Be It One, sadly, beat us to it on that one. But the answer is yes, if the right opportunity came along. We are actually looking at our own venue, like a pub style venue at the moment, with some amazing partners who make incredible drinks and incredible food. Sort of us going in as the marketing whiz behind these two, prodigies in this whole game, who I've known since we were kids as well, which makes it even better, right? And then, there is a nightclub option on the table for us. And I think coming out of this, there'll be all kinds of opportunity for fast-paced people who are willing to pivot their businesses. I think we can be moving back to a place where there's a lot more smaller groups of operators, as the bigger operators just struggle with the huge overheads and burden of trying to stay alive.
Do you think 2021 will be the year of the startup?
My experience tells me, coming through 2008, my experience tells me yes. What I found in 2008 was a lot of the poor operators or cash-strapped operators, people that are sort of clinging to the side of the industry and on the thread, they all were gone. And what was left was like a really clever pool of individuals who could survive and sustain and grow. And we really saw that sort of 8, 9, 10, 11, hence, and then I took a year off, right, and traveled around the world. So I sort of feel like we're going back down to that route. I think the problem is, and every operator, every person I speak to has this conversation, is everything's changing weekly. And we don't know in 2021 whether we're going to have a second spike or whether we're going to be locked down again, or there's so many question marks. And I think that is what makes business at the moment so challenging.
You're an investor.
Yeah.
Where would you be putting your money right now?
Under the bed. Don't come to my house, look at my bed. No, digital. Digital, online delivery. If you're a venue, I'm investing in my website, I'm investing in my branding, I'm investing in my digital image. I'm making sure that my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, if you've got one, all match my website. I'm making sure everything's linked. YouTube as well, obviously. I'm making sure it's all linked. I'm making sure it's all trackable. I'm making sure that I know who buys my product, what age demographic they sit in. There's no excuse, people don't realize, but there's no excuse not to know this now. There are things you can put in your website where every single Google lead, whether it's SEO booking or AdWords booking or Facebook booking or Facebook click, you can track that person, you can track their social media activity, you can build commonalities. So you can say, these 100,000 customers based in central London have these 10, 20 things in common. Show me an audience of people that don't like my brand, who also live within this distance from my site, who also have those things in common. And then you can run cold ads to target those people. And you run a cold ad, a warm ad, and then hopefully convert them to a buyer. You need 2.3, 2.8 ads, to convert someone into a customer. And then you reinvest and reinvest. And the most amazing thing about digital is you build up this journey for your customers. And as you do that, you put yourself into a position where you get more and more and more and more data. So actually, as the time goes on, your campaign gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper to run, and better, unless a competitor comes in the market and tries to mess with your area, and then you're competing with them. And Facebook love that because they make loads of money. So you know, that's kind of where we're sitting these days. So digital for me, digital, and I think events will be, I mean, coming back, right? Everyone's dying to go out, you know. So I've seen some pretty much like mini Glastonbury festivals in the park where we live, you know. So I think events are going to be huge when they do come back.
So accountability is key, and that's what all our clients want, right? Isn't it? You know, if they're going to be making, times are tough, and if they're going to be spending money, they want to make sure that it's going in the right place. And as you said, with digital platforms, you can track everything now. So.
That's right, and they need to go into it realizing month one's going to be the worst month they'll ever have in digital. Like it will be, because you're going in cold, you're going in to learn, and you will learn stuff. You've got to have the know-how to do that investment. It's quite funny. I think you speak to an old school marketing director and they're used to seeing massive posters on the underground and all this stuff that they can go and see and show their investors. You know, when you're doing something digital, you don't get to have that kind of, you know, big waving moment. Oh, look at our ad in Piccadilly Circus, or look at our ad on the buses, you know. But actually, the results are just, they dwarf that type of activity. And you're talking to someone who owns a big experiential agency, and that's why we had to move into doing acquisition strategy campaigns using voucher codes, because I realized very quickly if we couldn't measure it, we were going to lose out to those industries where you could measure it, you know. And that's where everything's sort of going. So for me, it's all about measurement, you know. You've got to have the right content, the right branding, the right videographers, the right tech. Everything's got to be there. It's a very, very important part of it. And most people don't realize that if you're running a video, for example, if this video is being shown during rush hour, it will do far better if it's got subtitles, because people are on the train, you know, they want to watch it with subtitles. Whereas in the evening, they'll watch it without subtitles. So having both is really important. If you've got a 15-second video, you need a subtitle one, non-subtitle one. You need a really keyed up social manager who knows what time to run what adverts to make sure you're getting the best bang for your buck. And that turns a 3% conversion campaign into an 11% conversion campaign. Simple as that.
Wow. Well, I didn't know about that.
Loads of tips.
So what's next for Crowdify?
We're, you know, currently looking for other opportunities. We've just, I can say now that we've purchased One Big Night Out. You know, the pub crawl business. Okay, yeah, we decided to sort of, I know, go back to my roots from the days I was running around on the streets and stuff as a kid, right? But we've that's confirmed now. So we're running One Big Night Out pub crawls as part of our events group. We're looking at bus companies at the moment as well. We're very interested in having a bus. We are looking for somebody very talented in sort of the videography world, potentially building websites. We're looking at working with or taking on into the group a website building business, just growing the group out, complementary services, things clients need, so we can just plug and play, make sure that the Crowdify standard and quality is really high all the time for everything that we do, you know.
Well, we're friends anyway, but I love seeing your success, so I wish you all the best.
Yeah, you too, mate.
We'll have that beer soon, eh?
Yeah, cheers, bruv, when you want.
Cheers.
So thanks for watching Posh Cockney TV. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please subscribe below and hit the bell to be notified on future shows.